Welcome to the Be Student Podcast, and thank you for joining me. Today, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects with one of my favorite people. I'm so excited to welcome Jill Vaughan of the Downtown Orlando Partnership, who's got a rich history in corporate stakeholder management and representing the downtown of Orlando. But today, we want to go to Jill's B-side. Welcome. We're so
Thank
excited
you.
you're here.
I am so excited. I've been so looking forward to this, and congratulations on the success of the podcast. I'm so excited.
Well, thank you. We have a really big team that works on that. So I want to say thanks to all of them. I appreciate that. But, you know, Jill, we've known each other a while, and in truth, we met through our kids' sports, right?
We did.
Some sweaty bleachers somewhere in a field.
We
and,
did.
you know, I will be honest, I feel like when I first met you, I was a little intimidated because you have this like very sort of sophisticated presence. And then as I grew to know you, I was like, this is the most easy to work with person I've ever met. She's fun. She's approachable. She's a great girlfriend to your girlfriends. And you're this great ambassador for downtown Orlando, which we're going to get all to in a minute. But I just wanted our listeners to learn today a little bit about your superpower, which I think is partnership. And I think it's in the name of the label of what you do, which is so appropriate. But everything I've ever said, hey, how about X? You say, yeah, yes, and, right?
It's all about working smarter, not harder.
So I had a mentor once that said, in any situation, Betsy, we can choose power or partnership. And partnership is the easier track. So if there's one thing that people take away from today, it's consider how you might approach partnership. Turf wars are expensive. They make everything take longer. There's bad blood. It's just exhausting. And it's an artifact and one of those holdovers from that command and control hierarchical environment that I feel like is being dismantled now in our workplace. But it's something that there's still some work to be done on that. Tell our listeners and viewers how you got like this. How did you become a master partnership practitioner?
Well, I think that there is so much to be said about collaboration. It's working smarter, not harder, as I mentioned. And I think that, you know, when you really make the conscious decision not to be competitive, but to be collaborative, it just elevates what you do, whether that be your business, your personal relationships. You know, it's such a powerful tool to collaborate. And, you know, I don't want to duplicate your efforts. You have things that you do in your work that enhance my work. And so to duplicate that, to be duplicative, is not really working smarter. You know, it's really trying to come together to determine what your strengths are, what our strengths are, and how working together really elevates not only our organizations, but our community. And I think that's what I'm really excited about.
So Mr. Rogers has a quote that said, we all have different gifts, and it's how we show the world who we are, right? But did you come to this awareness or this sensibility the hard way, or did you always know that partnership was the way you wanted to go?
I will say that I love people, and I'm interested like in personal, like, you know, and I think that there is definitely something to be said about learning more about the person rather than just making it a business decision, for example. Right. I had an interview one time. I was interviewing with Johnson & Johnson right out of college, and I was interviewing for a medical sales position. I was so excited. It was my first big real job, you know, out of school. And the interviewer said, and you've probably heard this type of analogy, you know, sell me this pen.
Sell me this pen.
So I started selling the pen,
goodie.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I didn't get the job. You know, what it should have been is tell me more about yourself. You know, let's build a relationship, a personal relationship, and trust, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that that's one of the things that, you know, was a great lesson for me at an early age. I think that, you know, just even where I grew up in Michigan. I was born in Flint. And I think that, you know, just the community there also helped lay a foundation for my professional and my personal growth as well. And, you know, I definitely, I moved to Orlando after college with a guy, and then we broke up right after college, but I loved it here.
That old chestnut.
And yes,
we hear that story in here from time to time. Okay.
And, you know, and my first job was in downtown Orlando when I moved here. And so I have the nostalgia for downtown, and, you know, was able to build relationships a lot of years ago and really lean into those now, like in my role now. So I will say that, always be mindful of, all of the interactions you have, because at some point, even 20 years down the road, those relationships can really help, not only professional growth, but also, cultivate personal relationships too. So,
Well, I have 3 ironclad rules of business, and one of them is to end things well, and one of them is to always play the long game. And I think you're talking about those right now. Like, you
yes.
just never know when you're going to be recycling some engagement or bringing a relationship back to the forefront, and it's a good idea to keep your side of the street clean so that you can leverage those partnerships in due course. Like, if someone had said to me 10 years ago, you and Jill Vaughan are going to become friends and execute a partnership from the bleachers, I would have been like, really? Like, how's that even going to work?
Right.
One of the things that I think is essential to innovation
Mhm.
is being able to trust people that you can reach out to in partnership. And we're going to talk in a little bit about the partnership that you and I are officially
So
launching.
exciting.
But I was scared to talk to you about it because I thought you might be offended, or you might feel like, what kind of nerve does this woman have to even talk to me about this? But I had this safety to ideate with you about what we could do, because I felt that you would respect the fact that we have this relationship first before you might be like, I can't even believe she's bringing this up with me. There are a lot of people that would not have been able to receive the idea that I wanted us to co-create in the way that you did. And so I love how you're talking about it like, well, all shucks, I grew up in Flint and everybody knows how to do this. They don't. This is a real rare skill. And I can't tell you how much exhausting, maybe I can, how much exhausting work I've had to do to undo things when people perceive me as not willing to partner, which I am, because I want to do things the easy way, right? And I think that trying to be territorial or power hungry is juice that's not worth the squeeze. It's so exhausting and you have to do so much more work. How did you become somebody that would say yes? And
I would say it's an intentionality. You have to be intentional about it. So when I moved into my role 5 years ago as president and CEO of the Downtown Orlando Partnership, I was shocked, quite honestly, to see how siloed everything was, whether that be another chamber, association, or partnership. There was no collaboration. And so it was intentional that I set out to work with other organizations, as I said, because, I don't want to be exactly like another organization. There's so much strength that other organizations have, but I also want to partner with that organization, to really give strength to my own organization as well. So, small things like just to start out, reaching out to the African American Chamber to co-host events together. And, we do networking, part of our organization, and the amenities and things that we offer are networking opportunities, marketing opportunities, but to create networking opportunities with the African American Chamber, for example. And, generally when we host a coffee, we may have 50 to 75 people, but when we co-hosted it with the African American Chamber, we had 175 people there, so it's just really also doing what's right for our members. And for those leaders and professionals in the community to really expand their network too. So I would say, to answer your question, you have to be intentional about it. You have to really make that a goal, is not to be siloed, and to really reach out to other organizations and find out how you may add value to their organization and how they can add value to yours as well.
well, and I think what you're talking about really capitalizes on the reshaping of what people define as community. So it used to be that you did your work and I did my work in very specific geographies. That's it.
Yes.
Right. Well, now you might choose to be a member with me because you want the SEO that will reach people in Winter Park. Your business isn't even in Winter Park. And we actually have had international members of our chamber and people who are in region and Orlando, and we know our listeners are worldwide, so shout out to them. We're glad you're here today, and we hope that you're going to learn something about bringing partnership as a practice back to what you're doing. But it's about, and I think the other thing that's really interesting is this defining of community, right? So the African American Chamber is an identity chamber, right? Not a geographical one. I mean, to some degree, they function in the greater Orlando region, but it's an identity chamber. And then what you're doing is a specific geography that's designed to strengthen and support the activities of downtown and the place branding of downtown Orlando.
Correct.
And so the cross-pollination that happens there is a no-brainer. And yet there's people that will think that the CEO of the African American Chamber, who's amazing, Tanisha Nongari, will get all the credit if you go and do that.
Right.
How do you respond to that? That you're giving away credit or you're giving away equity in what you've done to somebody else by doing that?
I don't ever feel that way. I really don't, because I feel like if you're elevating someone else and elevating, whether that be a leader or organization, it's just elevating yourself and your organization as well. So I don't ever feel that way. I know that I think there are people that do feel that way, but I don't feel that way. I really think that you are adding value to both organizations by partnering. And to your point about geography too, I mean, you mentioned it. You have members throughout Central Florida, as does the Downtown Orlando Partnership. And so, I think that by partnering together too, that's, just really creating the right thing to do, whether that be for a small business or a small nonprofit. So I'm really excited about just not only elevating both of our organizations, but just the value that it adds for our community and for our small business and small nonprofit profits that are within the community and have invested in Central Florida. And so I'm excited because, Orlando itself too, we have so many visitors that come each year. And so we need those visitors to also be aware of our small businesses and support our small businesses as well as our residents. Mm-hmm. So I think that, going back to your first statement about the power of partnerships, I think that just is, an economic engine for our community and for Central Florida. So I'm really excited.
Well, on this podcast, we are so grateful to all of our viewers, but we have a really large cohort of very young viewers. So people that are under 40, I still call that young. And I've been meditating as we finish out our kind of first year of podcasting, why so many young people are choosing to watch this podcast. And I think I know some of the answer, and that's because they're looking for mentorship and they're finding it harder and harder to find real mentorship when they're in hybrid or remote work environments, et cetera. So I think and I hope that one of the things we're doing on this podcast is we're presenting you senior leaders who are master practitioners of what they do to give you hacks and tips and tricks that you can level up your game with. And so if you're one of those young listeners, think about the ways that you can relax your fears about being territorial and embrace the idea of maybe through partnership 1 + 1 = 9. Because we all have to be entrepreneurial in order to scale and expand our reach. And the best way to do that is to create these kind of synergistic opportunities where you can grow exponentially in what you're doing, because how much extra work was it to involve the African American Chamber of Commerce? 3 or 4 emails, maybe 2 other phone calls, and whammy, now 100 new people know about what you're doing downtown. Right. So I think that the takeaway from this conversation is scan for partnership opportunities. Don't reluctantly walk into them. When I was early in this role 9 years ago, I had to be taught that lesson. It's not like I woke up every morning and thought, who can I elbow out today? But I was, when I was a younger and less mature leader, worried about who was going to take credit for something. Did you ever go through a period like that, or have you kind of always been like this?
I mean, clearly, I think that's just human nature. Like you will always have some of that. But I think that, putting yourself in opportunities too. Someone had asked one time, they said, I don't feel comfortable. Like I get intimidated, around leaders, or when I go into a networking opportunity, like what advice would you give? And my advice at the time was, fake it till you make it. But I didn't mean not be yourself. I didn't mean, to fake who you are. What I meant by that is just to really push yourself out of your comfort zone and to really, disruption's opportunity.
Right.
And, to really put yourself in position where you will go up and introduce yourself to someone who maybe you admire or someone who maybe is senior, to you. But, just really putting yourself, like I said, out of your comfort zone. So back to your question. I mean, of course, I think we've all had that where you're like, oh, I did that and I didn't get credit for that. But, I also feel like as long as you are you're I'm trying to think of the best way to put this, but as long as you have like your goals and long term what you want, then I think those little small moments just become little speed bumps along the way. And you just really have to get over those, because long term, if you have goals and you set those goals for yourself, those small moments of feeling that maybe you didn't get credit for something, you do. Like you ultimately do.
But I think prior to this conversation, we talked about people coming up to you and saying, I'm proud of you. And I think,
yes,
even though that's maybe not what we'd say to a guy in your role.
No.
I think people are proud of what you've done for downtown Orlando. And I think that's maybe what they're trying to say, right? Like, thank you for making our downtown a place that doesn't feel like a ghost town after COVID.
Right.
Thank you for making it safer. Thank you for making it a place where people who've got insecurity issues around housing or mental health actually have resources and frontline people who can assist with that. Thank you for elevating our art game so that there's a lot of points of pride in downtown. We all want to be proud of our downtowns. And downtowns are these living, breathing organisms that are very much like family members. Like, you love them and you're always going to be there for them, but we go through ups and downs, right? So talk about how you've leveraged some of your partnerships and what you've done to kind of do the downtown Orlando turnaround. I know you could probably talk about that, fill the whole episode, but just give everybody a little bit of top notes of some of what you've been doing lately, where people come up to you and say, I'm proud of you.
And I always feel like that, I have to give some history, because I do love downtowns. I mean, my first memory, I talked about being born in Flint, but one of my first memories of downtown is my grandmother. She didn't get her driver's license until she was 70. That's a whole nother podcast. But she took me on the bus to downtown Flint, and we went to Kresge, which was like a 5 and dime. We ate at the counter. We had hot roast beef sandwiches. We had chocolate malts. I remember it so vividly. And she allowed me to pick out a toy. And I picked out
the roast beef sandwiches wrapped in wax paper.
They were, it was served with gravy on, like the diner plate. It was so good. So, but she allowed me to pick out a toy, and I picked out tin iron and ironing board, which I hate ironing. So it's just crazy that I would even pick that out. But I remember, like, it was in cellophane, and she told me I couldn't unwrap it, and, holding on to it, but just the whole experience of downtown. And so, and I alluded to the fact that when I moved to Orlando, my first job was in downtown too. So for me coming into this role too, like, I am so invested into not only downtowns as a whole, but just downtown Orlando. And so, some of that's nostalgia, but I just think there's so much opportunity here as well. And so, a strong downtown yields a strong city, yields a strong county, a strong, region. And so I've been really proud of not only our organization and the investment that we've made into our businesses and, our leaders and our workers that are in downtown. I feel like that is something that, we are, as an organization, are committed to. But I also feel like there are so many amenities that we should be proud of, and so many businesses downtown that we should be proud of. And you alluded to that, but our venues, we have the Dr. Phillips Center, the Kia Center, Inter and Coast Stadium. The Orlando Pride won the Women's National Soccer League Championship. We also have the Orlando Magic. We have Camping World Stadium. We have 3 bowl games this year in downtown Orlando. The City of Orlando, in partnership with United Arts, also started DTO Live. So if you walk downtown during the lunch hour, you'll hear music, you'll see mimes, you'll see, a violinist. So just creating little moments. There's also an investment too in creating some green space and pocket parks so that people can, not only during the nighttime, but during the day, those workers who are here can enjoy those opportunities as well. And so it's been my goal too, is to really create a private-public partnership with the City of Orlando and the Downtown Development Board to really elevate our downtown and to really create a narrative that's positive, because, our downtown is not unique. A lot of downtowns are struggling, but, as I mentioned earlier too, disruption is opportunity. And I think the sky's the limit, especially for some of the things that we have on the horizon, whether that be new developments, the fact that we have UCF downtown and Valencia College, we have students downtown, the City of Orlando is their classroom as well. So there's just so many great, exciting things happening and more to come on the horizon. So,
well, and this week you announced the redevelopment of a 20-acre infill site in downtown Orlando with Midtown Partners, and that's the old Orlando Sentinel
Correct.
site that Heatherwick Studio from London is going to be a part of. We're just excited about that. It's going to be mixed use. And then you've got wins with relocating Travel and Leisure's corporate headquarters here.
Yes.
We've got Creative Village with UCF and Valencia partners. And it's all happening down here. And that is why we wanted to form a partnership with you.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to let you announce what we have live now for our members and your members and our region.
Well, we are so excited to announce that the Downtown Orlando Partnership and the Winter Park Chamber of Commerce, we are launching a partnership for our small businesses and our small nonprofits to be members of both organizations.
So it's a BOGO.
Correct.
Yay!
So it is, right? So if you're a member of the Winter Park Chamber of Commerce, you automatically become a member of the Downtown Orlando Partnership, and vice versa for our small businesses and our nonprofits. And I am so excited. Not only am I excited to work with you, Betsy, and your team, but I am so excited for our members and for those in the community, because these are the businesses, the small businesses that we can help lift up and elevate what they're doing. Because, the restaurants and the food and, the retail and, the arts, those are all things that add to the whole grain and our, the community vibe. And I'm really, I can't be more proud to be partners with
I
you.
feel the same way. Our board is so excited. Our team is so excited. I think it's great. We both have huge search engine optimizations through our online directory. So even if you don't attend events for either one of us, we still can give an SEO lift to both of our members. And we've created this regional platform of engagement. And I want to just say thank you, because I came to you and said, hey, could we discuss an idea? And you immediately said, let's do it.
Absolutely.
I was like, what?
Absolutely.
I thought I was going to have to tread a little lighter. And it was just, and we've been so fortunate. Both of our boards have bought in on this. And I'm so excited about what we're going to be able to do together. So I want to say thank you for yes. And I know we've had many conversations about how to illustrate this, and we could not be more proud to have you as our regional partner.
Well, and I think the sky's the limit for what we have planned on the horizon too. And I am just really excited for our small businesses and our small nonprofits who we get to showcase now as a team.
Yeah.
And I just really think that it's going to just be just a great return for all of our members and all of those in the community. So thank you so much for your partnership. I
cannot wait.
I'm so excited.
To learn more about that, you're going to go to winterpark.org or
doporlando.com.
doporlando.com. And we can't wait to engage with you and connect with you and provide even more value than ever to membership on either side. And I'm so grateful that our sons ran cross country together.
Right.
We got to meet. But today, I hope that you learned about how you can show up with more intentionality about scanning for partnership opportunities. We want you to be entrepreneurial in the way that you need to take 1 + 1 and make it 9. Jill Vaughan is obviously a master practitioner of this. We thank you so much for your partnership, for your willingness to say yes and for the ways that you've strengthened our whole community by strengthening our downtown. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Betsy. I'm beyond grateful grateful for our partnership, and I look forward to all of the opportunities that lie ahead.
Yay!
So thank you.
So follow the Bee Student Podcast, if you will. Like, share, and subscribe to get more tips and mentorship on how you can level up what you're doing from the experts that we are in conversation with each week in this podcast. Thanks so much for listening today, and we'll see you next time.